Hey, what's going on, everybody? Chad Montgomery here. Um, this is going out to everybody on social media that kind of responded to the post I put out saying who's looking to make some additional forms of revenue. If you're not familiar with me, if you know me, or you don't know me, I run a real estate team here in McKinney, and that's one of several different things that I do for I like to call it entrepreneurship. So it means you've got more than one income, one source of income coming in. So this is one that I was recently introduced to by a good friend of mine, Chris Cuellar, and so him and Eric, they were telling me about this, saying, hey, like if you were to implement this into your team, what do you think it would look like? So I'm just like, well, let's figure it out. Like, let's find out, right? So we did that. We had great results, and I mean, it was really cool in the process too. And I found out it became a value add to the things that we were already doing. So it's a value add. It was on top of that, it saves me time, and we're going to go into this a little bit more too. So it saves time, value add. It's free to my clients. So now I added an additional free service to every one of my clients, and on top of that, I get paid for it. So it's saving me time. It's covering something that I'm already doing myself manually. It's automating things for me and paying. So to me, I'm just like, this is just a win-win all the way around. Sure, let's do it. Let's implement it. And the rest of my team, like they're making money off doing it too. So these are all the pluses that I've seen so far as from a real estate side. Chris, he's been using it for the back end on his side, being with mortgage companies, things like that. But as realtors, we have that first connect with our clients. So this is where I think that my team's had the most success is we have the relationships and we can work both sides. So if we have a listing, let's say we're the listing agent. We have a listing, we have a buyer. Buyer comes in, they buy the house. They're going to need these services. The seller, they're moving somewhere else. They're going to need the same service. So let's dive in. Let's see what this looks like. I'm going to share my screen with you guys real quick and show you exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So the company is Utility Partners USA. And so the example that I was telling you about, so I had a closing on one of my listings this week, and it's kind of a long breakdown if you think about it, but I'm sure all of you have gone through this. The house sold, the transaction was over. We closed on it, and then the buyer called their agent, the buyer's agent, who then called me and asked me, "Hey, Chad, how do we get electric? How do we get alarm systems? How do we get this, that? How do we get everything hooked up? How do we get the house going?" And and in turn, typically I would have had to call my client and say, hey, how do you do this? And like they're going to write everything out. I'm going to be sitting there writing it on paper or something like that. But in any case, it's not effective. It's not the highest and best use of your time to be doing this, especially if you're doing a high number of transactions. So that's going to take away hours and hours and hours out of your day, number one. And it's just going back, making sure that you're taking care of your clients when there's a much more automated, more efficient way. And let's dive into that now. So the next slide that we're going to see is actually going to be a video. I'm going to send this to you guys as well. This video is like 7 minutes long. Not going to go ahead and we're not going to watch this video. I will send you the video so you have a good idea of what it's going through, and so you can explain it a little bit. But let's look at numbers. So on that transaction, on that deal, I made $900, and here's how. So the $450 is what they're signing up for, right? So there's 450. That's from the buyer. My seller, I sent the same link to. Walked them both through it. It took about 2 minutes to do both, to have both of them complete this thing, and then Chris, Eric, and their team will take care of everything on the back end. So that's what's great about it. You have them fill it out. You spend your 2 minutes instead of going back and forth. Here, fill this out, and boom, they give them multiple options, no upcharge. In a lot of the case, they're wholesale, which is going to make it cheaper than probably what they can get it for to begin with. So with that said, this is the payout. So I made $900 on extra on one transaction by doing this. So, and we're using these different breakdowns, but you can kind of see how that works and what's going on with all that. And I mean, even if if you're not a great mathematician, if you're if you're a lot like me, this is why we're kind of breaking it down for you. So if you're if you're a single agent, let's say you're doing uh 10 units, that should be 20 units. And this is actually says 25, but I mean, if you do, because you're getting both sides of that. So if you're doing only 10 units, let's just call it, let's round it up, call it 25, because I already have a number for that. That's an extra $11,250 if you're doing 10 transactions a year. So it's pretty ridiculous to not do this, to not have the value add, to not save your time. And the great thing is, it doesn't cost your clients a dime. It doesn't cost you a dime. This is not a MLM, like, let me, pay me X amount of dollars so that I can do this for you. And, it doesn't work like that. This is free for you. This is free for your clients. This is free, and you get paid for it. So, and it's a time changer, a game changer as far as with time, because you don't have to go down that rabbit hole of keep going back and forth with the, with the other agent trying to get information on that home. So I'm keeping this up here just for a second, so you guys kind of go through it, but and take a look at it. But let's kind of see what the value, what the rest of the value is here. So cool, man. All right. So advantage number one, I'm just going to read these off to you. It's a seamless coordination. It simplifies the process, like what I was just telling you about, like having to go from one agent to another agent to a past client to back to the other agent, back to their past client, and just running all over the place. Simplified, easy process that's a value add that also adds an additional stream of revenue. So even if you're only doing 10 transactions a year, it'd be great to throw that $12,000 back into your pocket for doing something that's saving you time and building out, making your business look a lot better. So advantage number two is the efficiency. So it just streamlines the interaction and reduces the calls, the emails, the can you do this, can you do this, can you do that, and all the multiple applications. So they don't have to call, I'm going to just, electric company A, and then after that, take 2-3 hours, get set up, and then call, internet provider, A and B, which one is better, like which one. It's all this is done for them. And they can pick, like, here's the numbers, here's this number, which one sounds best. Oh, I'm gonna go with this one. Great. And set up for them. They don't have to call, shop. Once they have all the information that you've given them over the course of an hour, then they still have to call and do all this. So with this system, it doesn't have to that doesn't happen anymore. It's just right then someone's on the phone with them saying, here's the rates, here's what it does, here's how it works. Which one do you want? Pick, and then they're connected. So advantage number three is, it's a tailored situation. So it has the ability to provide customized packages that cater to individual clients and their needs. So we could leverage data from various services and personalizations and recommendations and support. So kind of like what I was just saying is, if you got electric company A and they're like, well, I've used them in the past, I don't really like them. It's like, well, great, we got, electric company B and C over here too. And, I'm not into the utilities myself, but if company B was, X amount of per kilowatt, and company C was, another amount, it just means that, well, who has the best service? Well, you can determine that right then and there on that phone call and make a decision without having to call multiple different people to have your house set up. Advantage number four, it's end-to-end assistance. Like we're gonna I'm not say it's not even my team. This is Chris and Eric's team that's gonna make sure that from start to finish, they're walked through and it's completed, and they get all that. And with everything that you need in a home, so even if it's a smart home, it's how to get all of that done. It's a complete 100% package all in one. So let me just kind of introduce you to some people real fast. This is it's Eric and Chris. Like, they're the team behind all this. They're going to be on the back end, making sure that everything's getting done properly. Um, and and guys, I appreciate your time. There's some things that we can dive deeper in. Uh, it's probably another presentation, but it kind of dives a little bit more into your credit responsibility and stuff like that. But and streamlining mortgages, it's things that my team currently does. We can talk more about it, but reach out if you have questions. I know that you'll have questions on this. Reach out to me. We can set a time up to talk, and this would be very, very easy to get you set up with, and it's free. So once you do it, everybody that you're working with and people that you don't. So, I mean, people on my team, I make sure like, hey, put this in front of them, make sure you see if see if they want to do it. It's not something you have to really sell. It's something that you offer. And they're just like, well, yeah, that's 10 times easier than me calling 15 people trying to get the information I need. So it makes everything pretty easy. Love what it's done for my team so far. Appreciate you guys. And let me stop sharing here for a second. But so appreciate you guys sticking with me and taking a look at all this too. So like I said, my team, I mean, I can't say who's going to pick what service, so I can't tell you an exact number. But if we keep pacing the way that we're pacing, because everybody needs the majority of these services. I mean, in my neighborhood, people do have alarms.